Yeah, hello, my name is Kyle Trujillo. I am a program director with Ancestral Lands, and it is my pleasure to present you all this overview of our program and our partnership with Albuquerque, as well as Talking Talons Youth Leadership. Um, Unfortunately, due to the current situation that all of us are dealing with, we weren't able to implement field work this spring as planned. And so in lieu of field trips for our youth, I was hoping to give y'all an orientation about who we are and what we do. So before I get started, I'd like to introduce myself in the customary Dene fashion. Te Kyle Trujillo Yanishia, Puruchini Nishle, Keith Ani Bashichin, Ashkan Hazo Hidashiche, Ado Keith Ani Dashinale. I am from the Tonanis Dize, or Tuba City area of the Navajo Nation. So, yeah, what I was planning here was to go over a PowerPoint presentation that I created with the help of Colleen Langan McRoberts with the City of Albuquerque. So without further ado, I will share my screen. So there's our logo and my name, as well as our mission statement: leading our nations back to ecological and cultural well-being. So in the first few slides, I'd like to contextualize and explain that mission through our principles and maybe a little bit of a snapshot of our crew operations. So let's jump right in. So we have 5 guiding principles that help us in our program implementation. First off is community development. All of our programs are created with community need in mind. We work with tribal governments, with local nonprofits and community members to help meet a need. That's of key importance to us because we don't want to just be going into a community and trying to prescribe needs. It's a collaborative process, and we are working with indigenous nations to help address their aspirations. Secondly, sovereignty. Indigenous nations are sovereign nations, and it's crucial for us to honor that and respect that, and to help connect that pride and sovereignty with our members to implement strong programs. Thirdly, cultural revitalization. Languages and traditional life ways and traditional agricultural knowledge and history are all things that are at risk in our society today. And so it's a big part of our program to help connect our members to culturally relevant work and to provide that tractable grounds for culture to be celebrated in our operations. Fourth, empowerment. The success of our young adults and youth is, that's how we live on. So a lot of our program is built around empowering our members to be successful in the dominant society as well as the traditional. And fifth, leadership. Through training, through experiential learning, and through engaging in the outdoors, we believe that the core model and our program provide a pretty unique opportunity for members of the community to grow in leadership and to stretch from comfort zones and to become effective leaders, not just in our program or in our in a professional environment, but also for themselves individually and for their communities and families. Here is a map of the USA and where we have worked in that 4-year period from 2015 to 2019. This is not, if we were to put a microscope to this, those dots would be, there'd be a lot more of them. But here's just the broad sweep here. The red dots are our main offices. We have offices on the Hopi Nation in Cucutzmavie, and we have an office in Gallup, New Mexico, in the Zuni and Acoma Pueblos, as well as Albuquerque. We also have individual placements or interns all over the nation, as you can see. And our crews go far and wide in the Southwest, and sometimes even beyond. You can see that some crews have gone up to Montana, or actually Wyoming, and over the West in California. We do have operations in Montana, actually. And so yeah, this is where we work. Apologies for the email notification. But yeah, this is a sampling of our crew work and some pictures. We do a lot of chainsaw removal of invasive species, including Russian olive and tamarisk. We train our members and leaders in GIS to document this work, and we deploy crews to build new trails, to maintain trails, to mitigate erosion, to preserve historical sites, etc. This is not an exhaustive list of our program offerings in terms of the project work we typically go on, but these are the main ones. Here's a picture of a crew out in the remote reaches of their project site, installing fence. But we typically recruit and select local youth and young adults into crews of 4 to 5 with a crew leader, and they all undergo training to safely and efficiently perform project work. Some of our crews go on 8-day to 10-day camping hitches, where they're living and working and eating together for 8 to 10 days before coming home. But we also have crews that work in a more typical 9 to 5 daily schedule as well. Those crews will usually work around their communities. For example, our Albuquerque crews will come home every night and then every day go and work at places like Petroglyphs or Valle de Oro or Candelaria. So here's some other crew life photos of a camping crew out there in the outdoors. You can see the communal kitchen. Those folks are out in the cold without layers, and they're washing dishes together. So that's kind of what you would expect for a camping crew. Although I will say this will look a little bit different nowadays, as we have to honor more social distancing protocol. Now, positive impact. In addition to communication skills building and leadership development, which is can be qualitative rather than quantitative, we also provide some tangible benefits to our members once they finish their term. And some examples being the AmeriCorps Siegel Education Award, which is dispersed upon completion of the term, that members can use toward post-secondary education, paying off student loans, stuff like that. We also host professional development workshops, such as resume building workshops, USA Jobs workshops, as well as job shadowing and networking opportunities with land management professionals. We also train our members and leaders, depending on their project work, on chainsaw operation and felling, herbicide application and handling, as well as wilderness first aid and CPR, just to name a few. Crews and their leaders will receive training in various communication skills, such as conflict resolution, judgment and decision making, and generally community building and having a healthy and safe, both physically and emotionally safe work environment. Community, by virtue of engaging in public lands, our members have regular interface with the public, so furthering that stewardship and that service ethic is a big part of our program, and contextualizing the work to be relevant culturally to our ancestral ways is also important. And the environment, again, we work outside. Our crews and our members go outside and are with the elements and in the environment, giving back. So that's, we hold fast to those leave no trace ethics, which is a pretty daily reality for our members, and a lot of our operations are with those leave no trace ethics in mind, in the hopes of strengthening that long-term connection with the land. Here are some examples of our partnerships. Nationally, we partner with the National Park Service, the United States Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and more locally, we partner with the Zuni tribe, Pueblo of Acoma, for example, and municipalities such as the city of Albuquerque, and more specifically, the Open Space Division. Colleen was gracious enough to film an orientation to the Candelaria Nature Preserve, which will be submitted along with this video to explain a little bit of the history of the preserve and how our work as Ancestral Lands and just conservation groups in general serve in the benefit of the ecosystem. But yeah, we can start to zoom in a little bit on the nature preserve itself. There's a beautiful picture of the sandias with a light dusting of snow. Colleen will go into this in more depth in the video clip, but the preserve is situated on 100 acres of farmland, and it's managed by the city of Albuquerque and maintained through partnerships like with Ancestral Lands, for example. It's part of a multi-year plan to restore habitat and involve the community in the preservation of this area, which is a wintering area for migratory birds and other wildlife. We'll see some pictures of them shortly. But yeah, Ancestral Lands, or AL, you'll probably hear me refer to ourselves as AL here and there. We contribute to the preserve and other open spaces in Albuquerque through facilities maintenance, planting trees, pulling weeds, some of that important work that furthers the health of these areas. The Albuquerque area rests on the ancestral lands of the Tiwa people. Today, the Tiwa live on as the Isleta and Sandia Pueblos, and Pueblo societies continue to practice ceremonies to this day and continue to work hard to maintain the indigenous culture as well as the land. So Ancestral Lands, we take pride in the privilege of working with these engaged young adults and youth from the Pueblos and other surrounding native nations in this work. And it's only through partnerships with entities like City of Albuquerque that allow us to engage our members in giving back to these ancestral lands. There's a picture of some cranes, sandhill cranes, the Albuquerque area, and the bosque generally are those all-important wintering areas for these migratory birds. So yeah, they're one of the birds in the animals that benefit from conservation and our work. So, and they are in flight. Here's a picture of a coyote roaming at the preserve. And the Diné way they're called coyote is called Ma'i, and is a trickster figure, popularly known as a trickster figure, but it's more of a complicated presence. Often he can be seen as an agent of chaos, but regardless of that, the coyote is revered and is an important figure in the Diné creation stories, and many Diné youth grow up hearing coyote stories, because often the coyote is central to teaching or a life lesson. So what would we do without Ma'i? Here's a picture from last year of some youth coming to volunteer at the nature preserve. They helped plant some trees and shrubs, which we'll see a little bit more as well. Colleen also helped me create a short video clip on those shrubs, so you'll see that also in the package. Yeah, there they are. Looks a little bit chilly out there. Having fun planting trees and shrubs. It's a beautiful thing. But this would be something along the lines of what we had envisioned for this summer, of having our crews contextualize this work to the greater mission of the preserve. And yeah. And finally, here's a picture that Colleen shared with me that made me smile. A ring-tailed cat saying hi. As I mentioned, I'm originally from Arizona, so I thought I'd plug in some Arizona trivia here. The ring-tailed cat is the state mammal of Arizona, and despite its name, is not a cat, but a member of the raccoon family. But seeing them always puts a smile on my face. So yeah, that concludes the presentation. Here's my email if you'd like to reach out for more information about Ancestral Lands or the work we do, not just in Albuquerque or the Southwest, but nationally as well. Please do not hesitate to reach out. Our social media accounts are there at the bottom, which we update regularly, with our position postings and highlights and spotlights of our crews and crew members. So definitely encourage you to explore those links. And again, wanted to bookend this with special thanks to Colleen for helping me out with her wealth of knowledge, experience of this work. And as I mentioned, I will also provide the video she shot that will provide even more articulate explanation of the preserve and what we're doing out there. But yeah, that concludes the presentation here, and I just wanted to end this by saying thanks again for everything that Talking Talons and NFWF do. It's work with y'all and to provide these opportunities for the youth to engage in public lands and conservation thereof. So, hakone, and I'll talk to y'all soon.